7 actions that will make a narcissist regret losing you forever. Imagine this. You've been through the emotional wringer with a narcissist. The cycles of love bombing, manipulation, emotional neglect, and mind games seem endless. You've tried everything to get through to them, to be seen, to be valued, but nothing seems to work. And then one day, you do something unexpected, something powerful. You decide to stop chasing. You stop begging for validation. You start living your life on your own terms. You might wonder, does that actually make a narcissist regret their behavior? Does silence really speak louder than words? And more importantly, can you ever make a narcissist feel the sting of their own cruelty in a way that forces them to regret losing you forever? Today, we're going to reveal the 7 actions that are guaranteed to leave a narcissist reeling with regret. These aren't the typical tactics of confrontation or revenge. These are subtle, profound actions that shift the power dynamic and force the narcissist to face a harsh reality they can't escape. By the end of this video, you'll understand how your boundaries, your self-respect, and your personal growth can be the ultimate catalysts in making a narcissist regret ever taking you for granted. Stay tuned, because these actions have the power to change the course of your relationship, or any relationship, with a narcissist, whether romantic, familial, or platonic. And before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with anyone who might need a little clarity on how to navigate narcissistic relationships. This is important information that could change lives. Let's dive into the heart of the matter. Narcissists are all about control. They crave admiration, attention, and validation from those around them. However, when their emotional supply gets cut off, when you stop giving them what they want, they often feel lost, confused, and frustrated. The narcissist has a twisted relationship with power, and when you take certain actions, you challenge that power in a way they cannot ignore. Action 1. Set boundaries and stick to them. The first and most powerful action you can take that will make a narcissist regret losing you is setting clear, firm boundaries and sticking to them. No exceptions. Narcissists, by nature, thrive on chaos and emotional manipulation. They know exactly how to push people to the brink of emotional dependency. One of their most effective tactics is breaking down your sense of self-worth by overstepping boundaries, whether that's through guilt-tripping, belittling, gaslighting, or just plain emotional neglect. They push you past your breaking point, all while ensuring that you feel powerless to do anything about it. When you take the courageous step to set boundaries with a narcissist, you send a very clear message. Their behaviors will no longer be tolerated. Boundaries are a way of saying, "This is where I draw the line." It's your way of demanding respect, protecting your emotional well-being, and making it clear that your self-respect is not negotiable. For the narcissist, this is a wake-up call. They've spent so much time and energy twisting reality and manipulating you to get their needs met. Your refusal to accept that treatment shakes their entire system of control. At first, a narcissist may be caught off guard. They're used to getting what they want by playing on your vulnerabilities. They are skilled at making you doubt yourself and questioning whether your boundaries are reasonable. Narcissists often disregard the emotional and psychological toll they inflict on others, believing that they have the right to take as much as they need, whenever they need it. When you finally take a stand, they may try to undermine you by accusing you of being unreasonable, selfish, or even cold. They will attempt to make you feel guilty for asserting yourself, often resorting to tactics like emotional blackmail or verbal attacks to break your resolve. But the more you consistently enforce those boundaries and don't give in to their manipulation, the more they'll start to understand that they can no longer bend or break you to their will. Narcissists crave control, and when they realize that they can no longer dictate your emotional state, it has a profound impact on them. They begin to see you not as an extension of their needs, but as an independent, self-respecting person, something they cannot easily control. This shift in the power dynamic is incredibly unsettling for the narcissist. For so long, they have enjoyed a sense of superiority and dominance over you, whether through constant criticism, emotional neglect, or making you feel like you were never enough. But now, when you make it clear that you will not tolerate their abusive behaviors anymore, their grip starts to loosen. The narcissist is faced with the reality that they no longer have the hold over you they once did. Picture this. You've spent countless hours, weeks, or even years trying to make them understand your worth. You've bent over backward, giving them second chances, forgiving them for their misdeeds, and ignoring the warning signs of emotional abuse. But suddenly, you change. You stop letting them walk all over you. When you start enforcing boundaries, something unexpected happens. They realize that they can no longer get away with their mistreatment. They will regret the fact that they ever took advantage of you, and that regret will start to eat away at them. In the beginning, the narcissist may test your boundaries. They might push you to see if you will break or waver. They might revert to their old tricks of guilt-tripping or manipulation. But each time you stand firm and refuse to be swayed, it becomes more apparent to them that they can no longer control you. Over time, this realization can grow into a deep sense of frustration. They will try to gaslight you or convince you that you're being overly sensitive, but when they realize that you aren't buying it anymore, they begin to feel a sense of loss. They will regret every time they pushed you too far, every time they crossed a line, because now they see that you are the one in control. The truth is, narcissists are addicted to control, and when they lose it, it sends them into a tailspin. They're no longer the powerful figure they once were in your life. The emotional dependency they've cultivated has evaporated. You've taken away their power, and that can be a devastating blow. Their sense of superiority is shaken. They begin to question themselves, something a narcissist hates to do. Your strength and the clarity with which you defend yourself are things they may never have expected. And now that they've lost that sense of power, they will regret every moment they took you for granted. When you finally take a stand and enforce your boundaries, you stop being their emotional punching bag. The more they see that you are serious about your self-worth, the more they will be forced to face the consequences of their actions. They'll feel the emotional withdrawal from you, the lack of emotional supply they once took for granted, and that emptiness can haunt them. The longer you stand your ground, the deeper their regret will become. It won't be immediate. It may take time for them to fully comprehend that they'd lost something valuable, but eventually the impact will settle in. What's even more striking about this situation is that narcissists often do not expect you to stand up for yourself. They're used to seeing people fall back into their toxic cycles. They expect you to keep compromising your self-respect, hoping for things to change. When you show them that you no longer tolerate their mistreatment, you put them in a position where they must face the reality that they've taken you for granted. And that's when the regret begins to grow. Over time, the narcissist will realize that you are someone who values yourself too much to accept their toxic behavior. They will recognize that you are strong enough to stand up for yourself, walk away, and move on without them. This realization chips away at their ego and pride. They may start to feel inferior or insignificant because, for the first time, they are confronted with the fact that you no longer need them, and perhaps never did. The sense of loss can be unbearable for a narcissist who prides themselves on being irreplaceable. Your firm boundaries will remind them of how easy it is for you to disconnect from their emotional games. And that is a powerful thing for them to regret. They will never forget the moment you stopped tolerating their abuse. They will spend years reflecting on what they lost when they pushed you too far, and the reality will hit them harder than any confrontation ever could. In the end, the narcissist will regret losing someone who once put up with their lies and manipulation, and they'll be left with nothing at the bitter realization that they'd pushed you away. Action 2. Go no contact. One of the most powerful and profound actions you can take to make a narcissist deeply regret losing you is by going completely no contact. Narcissists are creatures of habit, and their sense of identity and worth is intricately tied to the validation they receive from others. This constant emotional supply, from compliments, attention, admiration, or even negative reactions, is what sustains their fragile self-esteem. When you decide to cut them off entirely, it sends an unmistakable message they cannot ignore. You are no longer available to feed their insatiable need for external validation. Going no contact isn't simply about blocking their number or unfriending them on social media. It's not just about a few tactical measures to sever communication. It's a complete emotional withdrawal. It's about creating a boundary so strong that there is no room for them to manipulate, guilt trip, or re-enter your life in any form. No contact means refusing to engage with them in any way, whether through direct or indirect methods. It's about denying them the ability to trigger your emotions, to elicit reactions from you, or to use you as their emotional punching bag. When you do this, you are not only denying them access to you, but you are also reclaiming the control they once held over you. This action is incredibly painful for a narcissist. They rely on others for their emotional sustenance. Their very identity is built upon the perception of others, how they are viewed, admired, praised, and sometimes even feared. A narcissist's self-worth is not something they build from within. It is something that is constantly reaffirmed by others' opinions. When you decide to go no contact, you take away that validation. You are no longer a source of attention, admiration, or emotional supply for them. The emptiness they feel in the absence of your presence is akin to an emotional vacuum, a void that cannot be easily filled by anyone else. In fact, they may try to replace you with other sources of supply, but no one will have the same hold over them as you once did. This emotional void is one of the key reasons why no contact can be so devastating to a narcissist. It forces them to confront the reality of losing someone who, for all their faults, once played a role in sustaining their inflated sense of self. Your absence brings a sense of isolation, leaving them with nothing but their own inner turmoil. The longer they go without you, the harder it becomes for them to ignore the consequences of their actions. They will likely experience frustration, anger, and even desperation as they try to fill the void, but nothing will bring the same satisfaction as having you at their disposal. The silence you impose on the narcissist will not only make them feel the loss, but it will also force them to look inward. In the quiet, they will begin to question their own actions, motivations, and decisions. For the first time, they will have to grapple with the idea that they might have pushed you away for good. Narcissists are notoriously skilled at avoiding self-reflection, but the absence of their supply, the absence of you, makes it impossible for them to continue with their usual self-deception. When you withdraw your energy and refuse to engage, it serves as a mirror, reflecting back to them their own behavior and the consequences that come with it. This reflection can be incredibly disorienting for them, as they've likely never had to face the idea that their manipulative tactics and cruelty have led to the loss of someone they once believed they could control indefinitely. As time goes on, the narcissist will start to experience pangs of regret. They will remember how easy it was to manipulate you, how you once allowed them to dominate the relationship. The more time passes without you, the more they will begin to realize that they may never be able to reclaim the control they once had. They might try to reach out, to make contact through various means, sending messages, calling you repeatedly, or even attempting to use mutual acquaintances to get to you. But at this point, the damage has already been done. You've already taken your power back. Their attempts to control or manipulate you will be met with resistance, and this realization will hit them harder than any confrontation could. They will see, finally, that you are no longer the person they could easily twist around their finger. Their regret will grow because they will understand that they no longer have access to you and that their usual tactics won't work. They might even realize that they can't replace you, not in the same way they thought they could. The narcissist is used to people chasing them, forgiving them, or falling back into their web of lies and manipulation. But when you go no contact, you create a barrier they cannot breach. This forces them to reckon with the true consequences of their actions. The regret they feel won't just be about losing you. It will be about the loss of control, the loss of someone who once served as a constant source of validation, and the painful truth that they cannot get you back so easily. In essence, by going no contact, you make it clear to the narcissist that you are not someone they can walk away from and return to at their convenience. You are no longer their emotional playground, and this realization cuts deep. It's not just the loss of a person, it's the loss of their emotional supply, and that is something that narcissists cannot easily replace. Their regret may not be immediate, but over time, it will become undeniable. The more they try and fail to regain control over you, the more they will come to regret their behavior, realizing that they have lost someone who once allowed them to dictate the terms of the relationship. So, the next time you consider going no contact, remember that it isn't just a method of cutting ties. It's a powerful declaration that you are no longer available to feed their ego. And for a narcissist, this is one of the most impactful actions you can take. They will regret it for as long as they live. Action 3. Stop chasing their validation. A narcissist thrives on the admiration and validation of others. In fact, it's what fuels their entire existence. They need to feel superior to everyone around them, and when you're constantly chasing their approval or begging for their attention, you're only reinforcing their sense of control. One of the most effective ways to make a narcissist regret losing you is to stop chasing them. Stop seeking their approval. Stop trying to earn their love or affection. Instead, focus on your own growth, your own life, and your own happiness. When a narcissist realizes that you no longer need their validation, it shakes them to the core. They can't comprehend how anyone could exist without constantly needing their admiration. It forces them to see that you are not emotionally dependent on them, and that realization will make them regret their past treatment of you. If you start thriving in your own life, without their presence or approval, they'll wonder how they ever thought they could control someone so self-sufficient. This shift in perspective can often lead to a narcissist realizing they've lost someone of incredible value. They'll regret ever thinking they could take you for granted. Action 4. Rediscover your independence. When you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you can lose sight of your independence. Narcissists have a way of making everything about them, often causing you to neglect your own needs, desires, and dreams. The moment you reclaim your independence, whether it's pursuing hobbies, focusing on your career, or rebuilding your social life, the narcissist will start to feel threatened. Independence is a major blow to a narcissist because they see it as a sign that they no longer have control over you. They believe that they should be the center of your universe. But when you re-establish your own identity outside of their influence, It makes them realize that you are not a possession. They'll regret their role in dimming your light. And when you start shining brightly again, it's a reminder of everything they took away from you. The narcissist might attempt to reassert control or try to re-enter your life, but by this point, you will have already rediscovered your strength. Your independence will serve as a constant reminder to the narcissist that they can't control you, and they'll regret ever thinking they could. Action 5. Make them face the consequences. Narcissists hate facing consequences. They believe they are above accountability, and when they act cruelly or irresponsibly, they expect others to either forgive them or let them off the hook. But one of the most powerful ways to make a narcissist regret their actions is to hold them accountable for their behavior. This might mean setting clear consequences for their actions, whether it's ending the relationship or refusing to allow them back into your life. When a narcissist faces the consequences of their cruelty, they are forced to confront the reality that their behavior has real-world consequences. They might try to deflect, manipulate, or gaslight you, but standing firm and enforcing consequences shows them that you will no longer tolerate their behavior. This kind of accountability makes them regret ever mistreating you, because they'll realize that they can no longer get away with their manipulative games. Action 6. Move on without them. Narcissists expect to be the center of your world. They need to feel like they're the most important person in your life, and when you show them that you can move on without them, it hits them where it hurts the most. Whether it's dating someone else, succeeding in your career, or finding happiness without their influence, the narcissist will feel the sting of rejection. They will be forced to see that they are no longer the center of your universe, and that realization is often one of the most painful experiences for them. Moving on without them shows them that you can find happiness and success on your own terms, and without them. This makes them regret losing you and wish they had treated you better when they had the chance. Action 7. Live your best life. Ultimately, the best way to make a narcissist regret losing you is to live your best life. When you stop letting their toxicity define you, and instead focus on your happiness, health, and personal growth, it becomes impossible for them to ignore. The narcissist's regret will grow as they see you thriving without them in your life. They'll come to realize that they never truly had control over you. And by the time they finally understand this, it will be too late. You've already moved on, and they will have nothing left but the memory of their own destructive behavior. Thank you for sticking with me through today's discussion on the 7 actions that will make a narcissist regret losing you forever. I hope this information empowers you to take control of your life and relationships. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe, like, and share it with someone who might benefit from it. Narcissists can only hold power over you for as long as you allow it. You deserve to be treated with respect, kindness, and love. Never forget your worth and take these actions to create a life free from toxic relationships. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.